So we're going to create a dev box and we're going to use a project. Let's look for Next. Let's see, NextJS. Come on, where's Next at? So we can look around, poke around in here, and we'll see NextJS, sandbox. Cool, let's use it. We're going to name it Festive Cookies. Why not? I don't know. Why not use Festive Cookies? We're not going to make it public. All this stuff, whatever. We're going to create the dev box. Let's check it out. At the end of the day, we just want something we can play with immediately online without spinning up the whole project ourselves. Now, Next.js comes with all this stuff in here, and it may be even intimidating just to look at. Like, you're really thinking, how do I use this thing? Where's the entry point to this thing? And you see already you have a really cool looking app just off the bat. So let's go into app, right? This is where the entry point to a Next.js app is going to be. In the app directory, you have a layout, and you have page, and you have some global styling going on here. Let's check out page.tsx. Now, when it comes to Next, the naming of the files and the folders is really important, as we're going to see in just a minute here. What I like to do when I go in an app like this, a project like this, is just erase a bunch of stuff off the bat. Let's erase a bunch of stuff off the bat and make the old classic hello, the old classic hello world here. So let's see, I'm going to erase some stuff here. Let's get here. Let's go between the two divs and let's just yank it out. And now let's put in something like, I don't know, H1 and put hello H1. Okay, cool. We have that. Now we'll see the hot reloading will happen. And now we'll have hello. Why not hello world? Why not? Hello world. We'll save it. And we see now it says hello world. Perfect, right? Now you may be wondering about the naming conventions here and what do these things mean? What is page? What is layout? How do we add more pages? This is a full stack web application, meaning we can have many pages in here. We can have routes in here. And if you've used Create React app back in the days or maybe recently, you know that you have to add additional tools and libraries like React Router in order to actually route around. But that's the cool thing with Next.js. It just works out of the box and it works with folder and file naming conventions to tell you where are the places that you need to add your routes. So let's check this out. We have page, we have layout.tsx, and this is an interesting one. Layout is the place where you can have components or some UI that you want to be present across the entire app. So for example, if we wanted to add like a nav bar in here or something like that, we could put maybe, I don't know, nav, right? Put a nav in here and put another input and, nav one, I don't know. What, something lame like that. We have like our nav bar up here, nav one. And this will be present across the entire application. It'll be persistent across the different pages. Now you see the name page.tsx is really important. If you name this anything other than page.js or page.tsx, this is using TypeScript, then you would not get a page surfaced here. So if we want to add a new page, let's say we want to add an about section or something like that. The way we would do that is creating a new folder, the name of our route, which would be about, and then under it, this is really important, we have a page.tsx. And what we're going to do here is we're going to export default about page. And this about page is going to return some JSX, right? I don't know, why not, right? Return some JSX, which is just essentially some HTML. And we'll put like main, and put div. And another little fancy div here. If I can type correctly, microphone's in the way, so I'm not typing like I should. Don't judge me. Anyway, let's put about us page. Let's not put it in a div. Let's put it in like a H1 or something like that. Okay, return, blah, 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 blah. What's wrong with this? Why doesn't it like that? Cannot find name, export default function. Oops, my bad. Cool, export default function. And now if we go here, we can go to about. And the reason we can go to about is because we've named this folder about, and we have a page here saying, when you go to the about route, it rhymes. When you go to the about route, here's the page I want you to show here. And we go there, and then we see we have an about us page. And look also here, we have nav1 here. Why is that there? Because it's in the layout.tsx, meaning this is going to be persistent across all the pages. If we didn't want the nav persistent across all the pages, we would simply remove it. And now we just have about us page here. Pretty simple, right? And you may be thinking, cool, okay. This kind of tells me a little bit about how to work with things within Next.js. here's a couple more advanced things that you might not realize right off the bat. Let's say you wanted to have in a page, maybe a blog page, maybe a blog section, right? And let's say you have a lot of blogs and you want to categorize blogs by the ID. The ID can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, whatever. It could be a bunch of different IDs that you want to show. How do you do that? How do you have a dynamic route? A dynamic route has this odd syntax where you'll do something like this, a folder or a nested route. You put something in a bracket like this, meaning this is dynamic. This ID could be all sorts of stuff. And we'll have a page here, page.tsx. Hopefully you see the pattern here now. And let's make a new page. And let's do this export default function blog page. And by the way, you can see this kind of stuff in the docs that they have as well. I find it more fun to do it this way, where you're like just goofing around and finding things. I know a lot of this stuff from doing a bunch of it, but if you didn't, you should be going to the NextJS docs, which are excellent. You can watch people like Theo Brown on YouTube. He has an excellent take and some really longer tutorials. I'm not a fan of really long tutorials. I just want to get just started enough so I can get going. And if you're watching this, hopefully you're that kind of person as well. So we have this blog page here that takes in an argument of params, which are going to be just injected. So let's just call console.log params. The params in this case, params in this case should be the ID of the page we're on, which we'll get to in just a second. Now we're going to return some JSX, as you probably imagined. Let's do that. Div, and in here, let's put an H1 and H1. Okay, and we'll put the blog page. All right, now let's see if this works. We're a little nervous. Let's see. We'll go to blog/1. And let's see. Do we get anything here? Ooh, look at that. Look at what's here in the console down here, ID of 1. So let's show which blog page we're on by saying params.id. Let's see if that works. So we're on blog page 1. What if we go to blog page 2? That works. What if we go to blog page cats? That also works. Now, how do we do this? Was this magic? Params get injected automatically into the page. So we get access to the parameters in the window up there, right? The parameters here, we say blog is a URL and we have a dynamic ID, right? The ID is dynamic. It's in brackets, meaning this is dynamic. It could be anything. It could be 1, 2, 3, it could be cats. I don't know. How do we get it? We say params.id. Why is it .id? Because we named it ID. If we named it, let's just change it to something really silly. If we named it, let's rename it or something like that. Let's rename it to cats. If we rename it to cats, this will not work anymore. Params.cats. See, it broke. It didn't like that. It said, hey, wait a second. You can't do that. You can't. You told me it was ID. And now you're saying it's params.cats. We may have to restart the project again. Let's go back and let's restart it maybe, or just refresh it or something like that. Let's do blog ID, console log params. And what's going on here? We have an issue here. Sometimes you just need to restart the server in order to get things going again. Let's just restart it. I just want to show you that this name here there's nothing magical about ID. We're using this as a placeholder for the name of the parameter which we want to access. I like doing weird stuff like that sometimes because it's just kind of useful to do. So look, we have blog/ID. We can do blog/1 just to let you know that there's nothing magic about that parameter. So now we've gone over some really basic stuff over routing and also doing dynamic routes. Let's do one last thing. This is usually the part that trips people up a little bit. So let's do something in React, which you're probably used to, which is like const, search query or search and set search. And you'll do something like use state, and you'll use state with an empty string or something like that. And we'll borrow use state. And we'll import use state.